from New York, I'm Chris Hayes. In the 6th month of the year 2020, America is finally moving, albeit fitfully, towards a consensus on banning chokeholds by police officers and toppling statues of racist traitors. It's a remarkable moment, both because it has taken so long to get here and also because it does represent very significant progress. On Monday, after House Democrats unveiled a sweeping bill to reform policing that included a ban on chokeholds, among other items, today, the top Republican in the House, Kevin McCarthy, says he agrees with that ban and that his party conceptually agrees with much of what House Democrats proposed.
Do you support banning chokeholds?
Yes. Especially in the concept, if you watch within a bill coming forward, the idea of someone that would have a chokehold when somebody is handcuffed or others, there should be severe consequences.
There should be severe consequences. That's been true for a long time. That is not something Republicans were saying before the protests sparked by the killing of George Floyd. Now, public opinion has dramatically pushed in the direction of police reform at the minimum, something even more perhaps. Also today we learned Republican Senator Rand Paul, who has spoken out against no-knock warrants before, is filing legislation to ban them nationwide. No-knock warrants are the ones that led to the police killing of 26-year-old EMT Breonna Taylor in Louisville, Kentucky. Police just showing up and knocking down her door. Her boyfriend had no idea who it was. Republicans still have yet to agree on unveil their overall police reform plan, and who knows where they will land. But it all does count as progress, incremental though it may be. As does the toppling of statues of racist traitors, like this one of Confederate President Jefferson Davis, which came down last night in Richmond, Virginia, the former capital of the Confederacy. Many of these Confederate statues that you're seeing come down were not erected in mournful commemoration of defeat, but as a kind of marking of a victory over the forces of black equality during the rise of the Jim Crow South, decades or more after the end of the Civil War. They were put there as a rebuke to black Americans after Reconstruction, after their claims for equality had been beaten back, often violently, by white supremacist policies and governments. That statue of Jefferson Davis that came down last night, it was erected by a so-called Confederate heritage group in 1907, 40 years after the war, during a period when thousands of black Americans were being lynched across this nation, in the South particularly. This bust of Confederate general and early KKK leader Nathan Bedford Forrest was put up in the Tennessee state capitol in 1978. How's that for history? 1978. These statues were not erected to some outpouring of grief and loss. No, they were explicitly, at the time, symbols of white supremacy. They said, "We are back in charge, and you'll remember that every time you walk by this statue." On Tuesday, Tennessee state lawmakers, most of whom are Republicans, voted to keep that bust of Nathan Bedford Forrest, who's really, by the way, one of the worst, in the Capitol building. And that is the thing. While we are seeing signs of progress, the Republican Party, the party that defeated the Confederacy, the party that was born to defeat the Confederacy, has become the home of the Confederacy's last defenders. And that element of the party has a champion the current president, who says he will not even consider renaming military bases honoring Confederates. Which, why are there U.S. Army bases named after traitors in the year 2020? Traitors who killed American troops. Of course, that is who the president is. He's the guy who defended marchers at a white nationalist rally in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017. Who were there to support a statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee, some of whom chanted, "Jews will not replace us," and one of whom murdered a peaceful protester in cold blood the next day. Donald Trump means a lot to racists, and he knows that. There's an undeniable racial component to the bond. He has a certain part of his base. There is a reason why these guys in New Jersey, who despicably recreated the image of George Floyd's death while confronting Black Lives Matter protesters, are proudly displaying a Trump flag. They know what that symbolism is. They know what that flag means and what it stands for. The Trump flag, in that context, is not that different from a Jefferson Davis statue, and the meaning to those men. It is not that different from a Confederate flag. They know what it means. It's not an accident. And Donald Trump is supposed to be the person to offer some concrete solutions to racial inequities in America, or policing, or really anything. Late this afternoon, the president held a roundtable on race relations and policing at a conservative evangelical megachurch in Dallas. He alternated between reading awkwardly off his script and ad-libbing about all kinds of stuff. It amounted to a whole lot of nothing, as per usual, just empty words.